to get about another 4 million. So my whole budget's about 5 million, and I run 100 events and promotions around the world for that. So I do not have money for a big fancy, billboard campaign or TV campaign or anything like that. So how do I get to consumers? So that's my big challenge. So I have to work with the right people who are targeting our consumers. So the fine wine restaurants, the the independent retailers. So who's touching my consumer, and what can I do with them to offer something unique and give a bit of a New Zealand feel? I'll just brush over this really in terms of our two key export varieties. Sauvignon Blanc, we've had a lot of issues around supply and demand and the quality and bulk. And that's something the whole industry is focused on. The level of cooperation that's going on between grape growers and wineries is fantastic. And you'll taste that in the bottle as soon as you taste an 09 Sauvignon Blanc. It is the world benchmark, and everybody's having a go at it in terms of Chile, Australia, and we need to continue to make the best possible wine. We need to deepen the story. We talk about sub-regionality in Marlborough, the Wairau, Awatere. We need to broaden in terms of when people are drinking it, and explain our real commitment to sustainability, which isn't something that is a knee-jerk reaction to some retailers in the UK, but it's something we've been doing and really believe in for the last 15 years. And we've got to work in terms of that consumer pull-through. That's our key target with Sauvignon Blanc. Pinot Noir, we're very lucky. We've got 5 regions that do it really well, and it's a known variety. A lot of wine writers are a bit snobby about Sauvignon Blanc. They say, you just got to grow it, squash it, put it in a bottle, and off you go. Whereas Pinot Noir is incredibly hard to grow, and to make it well is very difficult. So it's a known variety. We run every 3 years in Wellington. We run a Pinot Noir conference, which is in February, 1st and 4th of February, where we bring 500 people from all around the world and celebrate the top 100 Pinot Noir producers from New Zealand. So there's still good growth. So we have to now show, as our competitions, France, we have to show how well our wines age and match food. But we need to also be consistent. We've got new wineries coming on all the time. And you cannot ask for $50 for a bottle of wine just because you're in a certain region, but it's got to be bloody good wine. So that's got to be the focus. And again, we've got to get supply and demand in balance. So a key part of our strategy is around events. We target key cities around the world. In newer cities, I mean places like Shanghai, where we were earlier this year, or Osaka, Hong Kong, but also Stockholm and Amsterdam, which was last month. What we're trying to do there is for them to understand that we make wine, that we make good wine, and we want them to taste our wine, because we know as soon as they taste our wine, they're really convinced by it. In our established cities, we've still got to continue to work with them, but also work with retailers, work with consumers. In our consumer events in Sydney, for example, sell out in a matter of hours online. So there's a real buzz going on around New Zealand wine. And we have different formats. As I said, our marketing is all... 3/4 of the budget is a winery says, yep, I want to be in that event and promotion, and I will pay money. I will use part of my marketing budget to be part of this generic campaign, and therefore we have to offer value for money. And we've got a number of different types of events and promotions, depending if you're a small winery or a large winery, if you can travel, if you can't. And that's something we've developed over a number of years, and we publish it in a 100-page booklet to our members. When I joined 5 years ago, actually I meant to show you that graph of exports of the past 10 years, because it goes like this, and then it goes like that, and that's when I joined. And nothing to do with me, but it's great. I love that graph. That's when I joined. But I realised that we weren't going to triple exports over 5 years by running 3 times as many events. So what we had to do was to get to more people by promotions. With trade and consumers. So that's what we try and do, is work with retailers, work with restaurateurs, And that can be as big as something like Sainsbury's, and what we'll do with them is we will negotiate a focus on all the New Zealand wines in there. There's some end aisle displays that wineries can buy into. There's some competitions in the magazine to win trips to New Zealand. There's some sampling opportunities. So we try and build a whole lot of stuff. So as an individual winery, I could buy into it for not a great price, but I'm actually part of a much larger thing, which is New Zealand. It's all about the category New Zealand wine and making sure that they understand the good nature of our wines and all our key messages. One thing we've managed to do very well, and that's other people saying it, not me, is really getting some of the top key influencers from around the world, to come to New Zealand. And once somebody comes here, they fall in love with the place. I did about 7 years ago. I didn't leave. And they'll go back and they'll write in their magazines and the newspapers about what a fantastic country it is, people, wine, food, and that's certainly one of the key ways we've managed to increase the profile of New Zealand wine. So, and to deliver all that, we've got a team. There's 15 of us in total, 13 pictures on there. We've had an office in London for probably 15 years in New Zealand House. We're still in New Zealand House, do some tastings at the top there. That manages Europe now, in terms of our mainland Europe operations as well. We then opened an office in San Francisco, and we have somebody in New Zealand Trade and Enterprise office in New York working for us, Dana, and Robert Ketchin in Canada. And 2 years ago we opened an office in Melbourne. And we have two people there. And then the team in New Zealand supports what's happening in the offices. It's like a contact point for the wineries who want to export to those markets. And we do things like seminars, branding, media visits and stuff, centrally as well here. So we've sort of, again, over time, developed what's the most efficient way to do what things where. The exchange rate's a good example of that. So we do fantastic catalogues for all our events and promotions. And we now do the central design of that here. But then depending on what the exchange rate's like, we'll actually just squirt it down a big fat tube and print it in London, if it makes sense to do that, or we'll print it here and put it on the ship with the wine. So again, just trying to be smart. But controlling the communications and getting a really quality look at all our communications is really important. So that's sort of the whirlwind tour, I guess. And I know we've got a panel discussion now, and happy to take any questions there or now. I'm not sure quite how you want to handle it.